Hey, what's up? I'm Pat, and this is Real Talk Out of the Closet. And today, I'm going to get a little bit on the funnier side, I hope. So, through my single spells, I had some really great first dates, but I also had some not so great first dates, and these are the tells of my first date fails, okay? Um, so, when I first came out in 2007, 8-ish, most of my friends were heterosexual and married, so I knew I couldn't get him to go to a gay bar with me, and I'm just not the type of person to go hang out in a bar by myself, okay? So I had to find other ways to get to know other lesbians and find people to date. You know, it's not like you can just go to the Home Depot and find a lesbian and, hook up and start dating. Um, so anyway, before I really knew about online dating, there were party lines. Now, these are numbers you can call, and they allow you to interact with other singles through a live phone connection through their site. Okay, what you do is you go on. Um, some of them you can add a picture, some you can't. But anyways, you just go on and you record a bio, and then you're also able to listen to other people's bios. And if you listen to a bio or see a picture that you're interested in, then you can push a number and it'll connect you to leave a message for that person, and then that person in return can hear your message, and then if they choose to look at your bio, and then if they want to connect, they can push a button, and then you guys are connected through an automatic like phone line thing. And some of them only gave you a couple minutes to talk, some gave you like 10 minutes. um So, anyways, um, you have like a live chat where you're talking to people, and so I'm not gonna say the names of any of these chat lines because honestly I don't even know if they still exist. And also, right now I am putting out a disclaimer that all the names used for the people that I have met and gone on dates with have been changed. So that way nobody can come back in the future that might see this and say anything or try to sue me, okay? Um, so anyway, the first person I met on one of these sites, her name was Dana. Um, she worked in an art gallery in San Francisco. She loved animals and she loved going camping. And she had the sexiest voice I have ever heard in my life. I mean, sexy, sexy voice. So I thought, okay, well, I love art, I love animals, I love camping, and I most definitely love her voice. So I pushed the button. 2 minutes later, there was a connection made, and now you only have a few minutes, like I said, on these chats. They varied. Some of them, like I said, gave you 2 minutes to talk, some gave you 10. But, um, anyways, I knew that we were going to be cut off, and I really wanted to talk to this woman, so I went ahead and I gave her my phone number, um, right then, so if we got cut off, she could call me if she chose to. Um, and I know that wasn't the smartest thing to do, probably. Um, and as time went along, I did, get a little more cautious, whether it was on that site or once I started doing like the online dating. But so long story short, she called me. We talked for well over an hour, and that night, and then the next night, and next night, and the next night, and we probably talked for every night for a week, week and a half. Um, so, anyways, she asked me finally to meet in person, and I agreed. She told me that she would come to my town um, because I did not want to have to drive to San Francisco. I do not like San Francisco. There is just way too many one-way streets and hills, too many places to get lost in San Francisco. So I I was very grateful that she agreed to come to my town. Anyways, we agreed to meet at a waterfront in the town that I was living in at the time, because it was public, but yet there wasn't hordes and hordes of people around. We couldn't have a little bit of private conversation and get to know each other. So, anyways, I'm sitting there waiting and with anticipation and nervous as hell. And this cute little petite brunette walks up to me and introduces herself. Instant attraction. So we're sitting there on the little bench and we're chatting for a bit, and then we get up and we walk around and continue our conversation as we're walking. She was really cute, very interesting, and I really thought, okay, this could be a possible match. Until she says all of a sudden, so before we take this any further, and figure out if this is going to be a possible match, I think you better have a seat back on the bench. There's something I have to tell you. She looks me dead in the eye and says, before we go any further, I have to let you know that I have a penis. Wait, what? Now I know I couldn't hide my facial expressions, of complete and utter disappointment. And then she asked me, does that matter? Well, being that I'm a lesbian, yeah, that kind of matters, Major fell. I was so disappointed. I could not believe that she told me she had a penis and asked if it mattered. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for and totally support transgender, but this was not something I expected, nor was I ready for. Maybe if it was a little later, into her transition, or maybe even after her transition, it would have been different, but this wasn't something that I was ready for. But her and I did remain friends. We talked every now and then, and she did finally get her go through the complete transition. She, got the full surgery, and she became the woman that she always was, and I was very happy for her, and even happier when I found out that she met someone and was getting married. After that, we just kind of lost contact, but that just blew my mind. I mean, totally blew my mind. So, anyways, after a couple months of the party line crap, but not having any luck, I decided to try a different route. Because people started telling me about eHarmony. Why don't you try eHarmony? So I got on and I was, searching through stuff, and lo and behold, eHarmony does not cater to gays and lesbians, only heterosexuals. So that was a big bust and disappointment. By this point, I was really getting discouraged. I mean, I'd had some good dates in between, but nothing that was a possible love connection. Okay, so I tried, a couple different sites, and I did find one, and I did meet somebody, finally, and I was in a 7-year relationship. That went downhill. So anyways, after 7 years, that ended, and so here I am 7 years later, and back at the drawing board. But at least now I had other options. Online dating sites were becoming more popular. There was more of them. So I tried, different options, and So then I met this woman, Carol. Um, her profile stated that she was looking for a down-to-earth woman for quiet, secluded dates and see where things might lead. Yes, I remember her profile distinctively, and in a few minutes you'll figure out why. Um, at the time I didn't think nothing of it. Um, so anyways, I responded to Carol, and a couple days later she responded back, "Hey, I like what I see. Let's meet." And I said, I messaged her back, "Really? You want to meet, even before we've had any kind of correspondence or anything like that?" And her reply back was, um, yeah, why not? We're both adults, consenting adults. You obviously like what you see. I obviously like what I see. Um, we can get to know each other over the date. So I was like, okay, well, okay, that, it's something different, but that, so let's do it. Um, so anyway, she said that she would, send me the time and place and asked if it was a problem that we went Dutch. And I responded, no, Dutch is fine, sounds great. Just let me know when and where. Um, so anyways, like 2 days later, I got a message, to meet her at a certain restaurant. But this restaurant was a little bit out of my budget. Okay. So I contacted her and said, hey, sorry, I'd really love to go to that restaurant, but at this time, that's a bit out of my budget. So she messaged me back and she's like, no problem, I'll just pay and you can get the next one. I replied back to her, okay, but we agreed that we would go Dutch, and, I don't want to, change things up on you like that. She replied back to me, she's like, look, it was my choice to eat there. I completely understand that right now it's out of your budget, so just let me pay. And then, next time, if there's a next time, you could pick it up. She's like, I just really want to meet you. So I was like, okay, wow, that was a nice gesture. Okay. So the day comes and we meet, and, wow, she's really cute. Dinner's delicious. Conversation's going great. Then, bam, the bombshell. So my girlfriend works out of town again next week, so can we meet up again next week? Whoa, wait, girlfriend? God. She's like, yeah, we've been together for almost 10 years, but the relationship really sucks. We don't have sex, we don't talk. She's gone all the time, out of town for work, and I think she's cheating on me. And I said, well, isn't that what you're doing? Cheating on her? And she's like, yes, but only because she does. And I said, but you think she does. And she's like, well, I'm pretty sure she is. And I said, well, if you think she's cheating on you, you want to cheat on her, you guys don't have a good relationship, why don't you just break up? She's like, well, it's not that simple. We have 2 kids. Wow. Sorry, but I'm not going to be someone's side chick, okay? It's not going to happen. And although it totally broke my budget for that month, I got in my wallet, pulled out the cost of my meal, um, set it down on the table, and left. Another total fail. Crazy, okay? A few weeks after her, I met Claire. We talked a few times just through messages on the site, and nothing really came from it until just like, one day all of a sudden I got home from work and I went onto the site and I was checking my messages, and there was a message from Claire, um, and she said that she was going to be at a certain bar and grill in Stockton at a certain time, um, and that if I wanted to meet, to be there, at that time or around that time. Um, Now, I didn't know much about Stockton. I'd never been to Stockton. But I knew it wasn't that far away. So I figured, what the hell? Why not? So I messaged her back. Okay, I'll be there. Um, so I walk in to this cute little bar and grill, in Stockton, and there's this cute older blonde sitting at the bar sipping a drink. So I walk up and I say, "Are you Claire?" She's like, "Yes." Are you Patricia? Yep, that's me. So anyways, I take a seat and stool next to her at the bar. I order a rum and coke and I ask for a menu. Now, I don't normally drink and drive, but I knew since I was eating as well that I would be okay as long as I only had one or two, had the food in my stomach, and then maybe drinking ice water as well. So, anyways, I'm sitting there. Um, I had a burger, fries, rum and coke. She had roast beef and whatever foo drink it was that she was drinking. Anyway, the conversation started out great, but then somehow it turned into X bashing. Okay, um, I think she'd had too many of her little foo drinks, and they all hit her at once, just bam. So it went from great conversation to my ex did this, my ex did that. How can anyone be so mean? She was a crazy bitch, and now she stalks me. Oh, good lord. Good lord. I mean, I wished I could just disappear at that time, and I think the bartender could sense it and see it on my face because she stepped in and told her that she had had too much to drink already and she could not serve her anymore and asked her to leave. Um, well, that was not a pretty sight at all. She began yelling, cursing at the bartender, and then a manager came from in the back and she started yelling and cursing at him. And while all this was going on, I just kind of set $20 on the uh, bar to pay for my food and tip, and bartender just kind of waved me on. Um, I'm not even sure that the $20 covered it, but at this point, I don't think the bartender really even cared. Um, so, people, two words of advice. One, never talk about your ex on a first date. And two, if you cannot hold your liquor, do not drink on the first date. Especially little foo drinks that are going to hit you all at once, okay? I totally dodged a bullet with that. Yeah, that was insane. So I went on a few more dates after that. No love connections, so I took another brief break. A couple of months later, I decided to try it again, and I met this woman named Lucy. We really hit it off in our conversations through the dating site, and we actually really had a lot in common. So yeah, I was hopeful for this one. Um, and after a brief period of corresponding back and forth on the site, um, we agreed to meet. She too was from Stockton. So we met at this really cute like club hangout thing. It it was for, I guess, anyone, but I guess a lot of gays and lesbians, and other people from the LGBTQ community around the Stockton area like to hang out in this little bar. It was really cute. So, anyways, I meet her there. We sit down, and she asked me if I'd ever had a ginger beer. I've never had a ginger beer. So she ordered a ginger beer. Told the bartender to bring us both one. I told him, please make it separate checks. I'll be paying for my own. She said, no, I got it. And I said, no, please, I'd really prefer to just, pay for my own. And she said, okay, that, no problem there. So anyways, we're sitting there and we're sipping on our ginger beer and conversation was going great. Um, Then she started telling me that she wasn't looking for anything serious at the time because she was still trying to get over her ex. So right now she was only looking for friends to hang out with, and if something came of it, then something came of it. But right now, she was still dealing with things that her ex had done to her. And in my head, I'm thinking, what is it about lesbians from Stockton? Um, Anyway, she proceeds to talk about how much of a bitch her ex is, how she did this and did that. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I've heard this story before. So I asked her, is your ex's name Claire? She stands up to her feet and shouts, yes, how do you know? Well, I went on a date with her about 3 months ago and she told me this exact same story, but you were the bad guy. And she starts asking me if Claire put me up to this, if Claire had me go out with her for information. I just said, look, I don't know which one of you did what, but I think you're both crazy. Handed the waiter money to pay for my beer, and I walked out the door. Now, I did eventually meet someone, was in a relationship for a while, but that came to an end also. So after a grieving period, I decided to try it again. I figured, what the hell, what could go wrong? Well, I found out what could go wrong because that was when I went on my worst and craziest date ever. Okay. So I meet Sarah on a well-known dating site, and we correspond over a few weeks. She decides to give me her number, but asks that we just text for a couple of days, just to develop a little bit more of a comfort level. Sure, I totally respected that. So after texting back and forth for about a week, I finally asked her if we could meet. Um, and she's like, no, not yet. I'm not ready to meet yet. And I said, well, can I at least call you and talk to you and hear your voice? And she said she agreed to that. So, we actually talked for a few days, and I finally convinced her, okay, let's meet. Let's go on a date with me. So she agrees. Okay, so I feel that if you ask a person out, you should pay the bill, unless you otherwise make arrangements to go Dutch or some other prearranged thing. If you ask them out, you should pay. So that being said, I asked her where she wanted to go. She asked me if I like Chinese food. I said yes, I love Chinese food. I said, do you have a place in mind? And she said yes, and suggested a restaurant in Sacramento around where she lived. She said great food. Um, so okay, I agreed to that, and I said okay. I think this was on like a Wednesday. And I told her, okay, let's meet on Saturday at 7 at that restaurant. And she agreed. So over the next couple of days, we talked, texted, about, meeting up. And, I told her I was very excited to meet her, etc., etc. So then that Saturday night, we both pulled into the restaurant parking lot at the same time. And I thought that was kind of cute. I kind of took that as a good sign. She got out of her car. She was very attractive. Curves in all the right places. So, anyways, as we approached each other, we hugged and said hello. And I held the door open for her because, yes, I'm a very chivalrous woman. And let me make it clear. As I said before, if I ask a woman out, I intend to pay unless I agree or we agree otherwise, okay? Now, that being said, I'm not rich by any means, but I don't like to be cheap either. Okay, so now that we're clear on all those points, I made it clear to her that I was paying and to order whatever she wanted. She said, "Oh, great, sounds good." So, um, anyway, the waitress brings us our menus and asks if we'd like to start out with something to drink. I knew that I had to make a drive back from Sacramento to the Bay Area, so I just ordered an ice water and a Pepsi. She ordered 2 shots of tequila and a draft Bud Light. Okay. Um, anyways, so we chatted for a while, as we looked at the menus, and she just kept saying, "I can't decide what I want. I can't decide what I want." So I assured her again, get whatever you want. Okay, order whatever you want. But by this time she'd already downed both shots and probably 3/4 for a beer. So a few minutes later, the waitress came and asked if we were ready to order. So I told her to go ahead, and she's like, "Oh, I'm still not real positive what I want. There's just so many choices, and they all sound so good." So I said, "Okay, well, just take your time." And I told the waitress, I want a #1 dinner meal. And what the #1 dinner meal is you get one entree, and then you get rice, chow mein, and then your choice of soups. So I figured, that'd be plenty for me. So anyways, I ordered the #1 dinner meal, had cashew chicken, and it came with rice, chow mein, and then I ordered the sweet and spicy soup. Okay, so now she tells the waitress that she's ready, and she proceeds to order an appetizer of foiled chicken, an appetizer of some kind of shrimp stuff that I had never even heard of, and an appetizer of calamari. And then orders her entree and orders the same thing, a #1 dinner meal, except for she gets sweet and sour pork. So anyways, then, I honestly wanted to ask her, are you expecting another guest to join us, or, what? But, now don't get me wrong, I did eat some of the appetizers myself, but, come on. When I said whatever you want, I meant within reason. I didn't mean a fourth of the menu. Because she not only ordered all that stuff, but then she in turn ordered another shot and another beer. Okay, and it was just like, to me, it was just a lot. Okay, when someone tells you order what you want, common sense tells you order within reason. Okay, anyways, they brought the appetizers out, and this woman ate like she had not eaten in a week. And she smacked her food, and she talked with her mouth full. 2 things I cannot stand. Okay? And then our plates come out, and there's enough food on one plate to probably feed 2 people. More than enough food. And she was scarfing that down, and oh, my any good restaurant, there's good portions, But anyways, we continued to chat as we ate. Unfortunately, she ate as she talked instead of finishing what was in her mouth first and then talking. And I gotta say, people, I'm the kind of person that unless we are in a relationship, please do not take food off my plate. Okay? And she did. Oh, yes, she did. And with her fingers. Okay? She reached across the table, took a piece of chicken off my plate, and ate it. Okay? by now I'd already made my mind up that this woman definitely was not a love connection. But I'm not rude, so I bit my tongue, swallowed my pride, and continued on. Then out of nowhere, she starts talking about how she loves being a panda and loves to be pet. I'm like, whoa, hold up. What the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, oh, didn't I come out and tell you um that I'm a furry? What the fuck is a furry? I mean, that's not how it came out of my mouth to her, but that's how I thought it in my head. And I was like, no. And she's, oh, I thought I told you on the phone that I was a furry. What is a furry? And she proceeds to explain to me that a furry is people that dress up in costumes that look like animals. Okay? Um, and then she tells me, yeah, I belong to this group of furries and we all like to dress up like animals, and most of the time we just hang out and socialize and drink, maybe smoke a little bit of pot, but sometimes things get really heated and turn sexual, and it's so exciting. And then she said to me straight in the eye and said, you know, I would really love for you to dress up like a panda and we could mate. I was completely lost, dumbfounded, had no idea what to say. All that came out of my mouth was, um, I don't think that'd be anything I'd be interested in. Now, don't get me wrong. Okay, don't get me wrong. I believe everyone has the right to do as they want, to each their own. But this is one of the craziest things anyone had ever asked me to do, and I knew I had to end it. I knew I had to end this date now. So I pulled my phone out and said, oh crap, I hate to end so soon, but I really have to get a friend of mine needs my help. And she needs me like as soon as possible. And so she says, oh, that's okay, I understand. Maybe we could talk about it more later on the phone. Yeah, maybe. So anyways, I motioned for the waitress, asked for my check. Um, before I can even finish getting the words, can I please have the check out of my mouth, she said, and I'd like some to-go boxes. Okay. So, a couple minutes later, the waitress comes back with the boxes, sets them on the table, sets the check on the table. I grab the check. Holy shit. $180. Are you freaking kidding me? $180, people. For Chinese food. Okay? So she starts putting food in the boxes and says, oh, you don't care if I take the rest of this, do you? So I'm thinking in my head, you pretty much already got it all boxed up, so you might as well. And then she says, what about yours? Are you going to finish yours, or can I take that too? Well, I'm definitely not going to finish it, because you put your fingers in it, so yeah, you might as well go ahead and take that too. Now again, that's not what I said to her, but that's what I was thinking. What really came out of my mouth was, yeah, sure, you can have that too. I just want to leave. I just want out. At this point, I want it all to end, and I want to be gone. That was the insanest, craziest date I'd ever been on. Okay? So, then, as we're walking out, she leans in and she hugs me and she whispers in my ear, I know that I said I want you to mate with me dressed up like a panda, but I just hope that you don't think that just because you bought me dinner, this means that we're going to have sex anytime soon. Nope, that was the furthest thing from my mind. Trust me. Please trust me, that was the furthest thing from my mind. I couldn't get out of that parking lot and on the freeway fast enough. Honestly, I could not get out of that parking lot and on to the freeway fast enough. Okay? So, she tried to call me later that evening, and I did not answer. Yes, I felt bad, so I texted her and I told her I'm sorry, I fell asleep, and that I hope that she finds what she was looking for or who she's looking for, but I knew it was not me. And that was the last time I ever spoke to her. So, yeah, that is some of the date fails that I had. They were pretty absurd, especially that last one and the one with Claire and her ex. I mean, what are the chances of going out on a date with somebody, hearing stories about their ex, and then 3 months later actually going out on a date with their ex too? Pretty crazy. So if you've had any crazy experiences or some really bad failed dates, first dates, let me know about them. Drop me some messages in the comments. Tell me all about them. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you like this video. Until next time.